Well, now you're sideways. That doesn't work. And your other one fell off? Yeah, your other device fell off of the connection. I got no audio on you, Brian. Your audio device, your your other device is not in this hangout, so you can talk all you want, and it's not doing nothing, man.
How about now?
Oh, there you go. Now I got you.
Okay, yeah, sorry, I had you muted when I had the iPad connected.
All right. So here
Hey, I
we
just
are.
got a haircut. Hey, world.
Yeah. Yeah, just for the live broadcast.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So nobody's watching anyway. We'll see if people join up anyway, whatever works for them.
And I feel like if we do this, we got to get some like special guests with like some recognition, or at least some like cam girls.
I wonder if there's Easter eggs in Hangouts. No, probably not.
What's that?
Well, on Hangouts, like the chat, there's some Easter eggs in there that if type some slash symbols, it'll dance ponies across the screen, stuff like that. That'd be fun. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It looks like somebody did join us, so this is for a test. We have somebody online, so that's cool. So should we get started then?
Yeah. Do we have a document set up for this?
I don't have a document set up for it.
There's two of us. We're talking about ambidexterity today, and between the two of us, we don't have the preparatory document ready.
Yeah, documents are not ambidextrous, man.
I'm just making the parallel between two people, left and right.
Oh. And this is, I have this labeled, and I think in the Hangout is episode 44. It's not. This is 45.
45.
A lot of episodes. Been at it for a while, huh? I am right. This is episode 45, correct? Yeah.
Yes, it is 45.
All right. Who led last time, you or me?
I think I led last time.
Okay.
So if I go to our YouTube page, that should give. Is that where the link to?
I think you'll find it there, and they also do a list of Hangouts on air somewhere else. Okay. And you'll find it there too. Top of the list, I'm sure, because we're very, very popular. It's a burden, really.
Oh, there we are, live now.
What was that? All right.
I've got our live streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to check out our chat so we can see that Leonhardt said, "Yeah, somebody's watching." Haha. Hey, Leonhardt.
How do we get to that chat in this? Because I'm not seeing it in the Hangout on air.
I'm watching our live stream. I'm vainly watching myself. Oh man, I need better lighting.
You look so good. You look fabulous, Brian. Fabulous.
That's what Jill tells me.
I want that chat to be part of the Hangouts on Air app, and I don't see it. I see there's a chat here. It's our group chat, but that's useless.
Yeah, no one else can see that.
Yeah, we got 3 people on now. Okay, so you're gonna have to monitor that then.
I can't. It's like 4 feet away from me.
Okay, well, why don't you send it my way, and why don't you send that link to the actual thing on my way?
I can't
drop it into the group chat on our Hangout.
I'm running this off of 3 different computers. I'm talking on a Google Pixel. I'm monitoring this on a PC and recording on the PC, and then I'm going to be checking the Google documents on my iPad.
All right.
Three
Well, if you
different
can
operating
drop the
systems.
link to the Hangout to me anyway, any way you can. The Hangout on
There
there,
we go.
that I
Should
heard
be able.
come through.
I think I just heard it come through.
Yeah, you can try to keep an eye on any comments that are happening. All right. Well, if you can drop the link to the Hangout to me, anyway, any way you can. The Hangout on
You
there.
just got super quiet.
I think Can you hear me, Brian?
Okay, now you can hear you fine.
Thought there might be a conflict because I had to mute the audio from this thing. All right. No, we don't have our document, but I did put the folder there. So everybody gets a back. Everybody who watches gets a real. This is weird. Okay.
All right, you said you created an episode for or a folder. Oh, now I see your episode 45 folder.
I just created a folder.
All right, so to those who are joining us, we're doing a live show for the first time, and it's going to be live, but we're going to record it like we normally would. So all the ers, ahs, ums, and stuff that get cut out of the show, you'll be able to hear that, and we'll be able to see you live, or we'll be able to see your chat screen live. We're not going to take questions during the show. We're just going to kind of record our shows at the end, and if you have any questions that have been posted, we'll ask for those Q&A session at the end. So if you think of stuff while we're talking, or if you have suggestions and stuff, just blurt them out.
Yeah, for a little background for you guys, we do this podcast. We've been doing it for over a year. I think we have 50 episodes or something like that. So I guess that makes us over 2 years by now. And we are both very into human augmentation. Myself, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 microchip implants and a magnet implant that I can use to interface with devices. Brian has a similar amount, but different positioning and different types of implants that he uses for similar or other purposes than I do. I am also very into nootropics. Nootropics, I guess, is the right way to put that. And which are compounds that actually change the way your brain works. Sometimes some grow new nerve cells in the brain, which help with memory and focus, things like that. So that's kind of where we come from, is how we can improve ourselves through technology, through implants, through chemical changes, whatever else. You're highly encouraged to check out our other podcasts. We're on all the podcast channels plus YouTube. We have all of our episodes posted.
And if you haven't listened to us before, we recommend you start with episode 13, which I think is titled something like Why We Do This. And it's a great introduction course for why people would go the route we did and do things what we've done. Another implant that you didn't really touch on was the magnet implants. Those are something I'm more keen on. A magnet implant, I have one in my left ring finger, and that allows me to sense magnetic fields. And as an electronic engineer, I've used this professionally to sense where magnetic fields are or aren't. But that's what I'm really happy about.
Brian, find our document template. Can you make a copy of that if you have it handy?
Of the document?
Where I left. Turn the lead off. Disregard. I found it.
Okay.
Today we're going to be talking about ambidexterity, something that I've worked pretty diligently on doing. It's taken me about 5 years so far, and I'm still not totally there. But I'm going to talk about some of the challenges that I've had. Why would you want to be ambidextrous? Things like that.
I've done a little bit where I've tried to teach myself to use my left hand, but not a whole lot. But I recognize that it's
All right, Brian, the
could be pretty
document's there.
powerful. Sweet. Huh. I'm trying to type into
Your audio is a little
the.
quiet. I don't know how it sounds on the Hangout itself. I have that muted, but your audio is a little
Too.
quiet.
Well, we're getting feedback on chat. You can hear us, so that's good. Hi. But it's weird. I'm trying to type into the YouTube chat, and it's not letting me type, or my keyboard's disabled, or something. I don't know. Everything's broken this morning. Like, hey, let's try this live, and every computer thing is like, nope, I'm broken today. Okay, we fixed you. What's next? Oh, microphone. Microphone's not working. Oh, keyboard's not working. We're technology people. Okay, I'm gonna connect my loudest keyboard in the world. Let's see if I can type with that. And maybe I just am not allowed to type in there. That must be it.
Hangout chat.
So the stuff we've talked about so far, we're not going to use in the show. This is just kind of a precursor to what we're going to be doing, and so that you kind of get the idea. This is our behind the scenes. It's a little bit more interactive than just watching DVD extras or something. Like Leon Hart had commented in the YouTube comments that he wanted to hear more about. I assume it's a guy because the first four letters are Leon, but I'm not positive about that. He said he wanted to know more about the magnet implants, and I think in one of the episodes I had mentioned that I had used it professionally to diagnose an industrial machine, a bandsaw, where some mechanical engineers, bless their hearts, they try so hard, but they could not figure out what was going on in this panel. And I just waved my hand over it and said, oh, hey, your transformer's not running. Because in my head, I was like, there should be a huge magnetic field coming off of that. And there wasn't. And so that struck me as kind of a void of where there should be a magnetic field. I found the circuit breaker that was controlling it, and away they went. Instead of spending 30, 40 minutes with a multimeter figuring out where the problem was, bam, 30 seconds. And if Leon Hart, if you've listened to these episodes, you've already heard that anecdote, but I really like it. Tim, I'm looking for that document. I see it.
I did post it in the chat, or the Hangouts that we see our video in. So you'll see the link there if you click the little green icon.
Yeah. Something that kind of struck me as odd is some people thought we scripted our entire show. The Cooper from Dangerous Minds podcast, he thought we scripted everything. Like we wrote it out beforehand. I was like, no, dude, we do this all off the cuff. We script the beginning. Our intro is scripted, and our end is scripted, where we tell people that we're on Patreon and Google Plus and all that stuff. But everything in the middle, the bulk of the show is totally just us chatting. Then, like I said, we edit it down so that it's more concise. We don't have all the ers, ums. So you're gonna hear stuff like where we will be speaking. We'll do an entire sentence, and then I'll say, "Hey Tim, could you start that over? We want a nice clean cut of what you just said." So you get to hear all that junk. So sorry, but hey, I hope it doesn't ruin the magic.
If anything, it'll let you have a great deal of respect for Brian's editing capabilities and the work he puts into it. That's for sure.
Yeah, we don't magically just sound like radio gods.
All right. So I'm ready to get going, Brian. If you have the doc up, then I think we're clear on it. So
All right.
I'm going to post my link to the Kurzweil article that started me with this on my doc. I don't have much else to say on the document.
Yeah, we'll just make it up, and if usually listeners, we have a document set up with our script, and we read off, like, hey, welcome to Two Cyborgs, blah 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 blah, our usual intro, and then we get into like kind of this little scripted intro where we try to bring up the subject kind of organically, but kind of not. And today we haven't had any time to write that up, so if we have to do 2 or 3 takes, that's why.
It'll work.
I'm in a Reno hotel room, traveling for work, so this is not my usual recording space.
All right.
So
1, 2, 3, testing. Betty bought some butter, but she said butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it'll make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So Betty bought a bit of butter better than the better butter, made her batter better. That doesn't look like it recorded, Brian. Nope.
Your Cubase isn't working?
Betty bought a bit of butter better than the better butter, made her.
He just went silent.
I'm here.
Okay.
I was just testing my recording. It's not real loud. My level.
We can also point out that this is far from the most problematic episode we've had. One of the advantages to editing is you never hear all this stuff. Today you're like, oh, good. These guys just cobble their way through this show as best they can.
Yeah.
What we do.
Again, a testament to your editing capability.
Well, we haven't even started recording. This is just the prologue.
There we go. Okay, my levels are not great. All right. And then we can start recording, Brian, as soon as my heater turns off here.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just going to do one more test. How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? One more test. How much wood could a woodchuck? All right. So my audio volume sucks, Brian. I have to add to it. Well, I had the gain way up before. I mean, I had the gain turned like all the way up before.
Yeah.
And now with this microphone, I have to back it off. It's just way too loud, but the recording is quiet. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? All right, it's better. It should be doable. You might have to turn it up a little bit on your side.
That's fine. I usually have to turn yours up a little and mine down a little.
Okay. All right. Let my house heat up one more time. And then I'll turn off my heater. My wife loves that. But honey, I know it's 20 degrees, but I'm still recording.
There will be no interruptions to the show. So what I could,
Well, there's
we
blankets.
can,
We have plenty of blankets.
you and the kid need to hibernate. Go start up the car. In the meantime, I'll show the people what I'm using to record. Right now, I'm just talking on a Google Pixel, and my usual recording rig is at home. So while I'm on the road, I have just a portable microphone stand, the usual mic I use at home, and just a windscreen. And I watch our shared Cyborg document that we don't give people access to. This is just for Tim and I for some scripting and reminders. And we keep any notes in there. I run my microphone cable to a USB converter box, and that just takes my XLR microphone signal. I run that all the way over through here, and I run it over to a PC. And the PC is running Audacity. You can see that up here in the right corner. And that's recording the microphone that you just saw. The reason I put it so far away is so that we don't hear the mechanical fan on that thing running. I've tried recording through iPads, iPhones, Google phones, and other devices, and the quality just isn't there for some reason because I wouldn't use the same USB connector I usually use. So there's some behind the scenes trivia fun for today. And maybe that's an indication of why we have so many tech problems, because rather than just grabbing a voice recorder and clipping it to my shirt, I run it through as much nonsense as I can. Well, our YouTube listener says that we sound good on his end.
Yep. Brian, we'll have to come back around, and I want to, if you don't mind, doing some tests on my audio just to see if we can get better levels during something like this for recording purposes.
Oh, you want me to tell you after the show or after editing how it looked?
Yeah, maybe just do it. It's not the audio and the video that matters. I'm wondering about the audio because I have trouble balancing what I'm hearing with what you get. And I want to just change the level just to make sure I can record it at a nice high level, but not broadcast blasting everybody's ears out.
Yeah, Hangout should automatically taper your levels as necessary.
Okay, well then I'll just blast it up as long as I don't get feedback. This is a very sensitive microphone. All right, so my heater's off.
Your microphone is crazy sensitive.
It is. Turn off my heater and we are a go. Finally. I'm ready when you are. All right. Whoa. Too much. All right.
I can't edit the document.
You can't edit it?
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it says you can edit it. Okay. We don't need much out of that anyway. All right, here we go.
Give us a countdown.
And I'm leading this time.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Hello and welcome. My name is Tim Shank.
And I'm Brian McAvoy. This is Two Cyborgs and a Microphone. Take two-part cyborg
Add 1 part microphone. So, Brian, why don't you introduce the topic?
All right, so today we're talking about ambidexterity and why that's important. For a lot of us, just being able to use our offhand every once in a while, for a lot of us, just being able to use our offhand every once in a while is convenient. And you reach for the peanut butter while you're spreading the jelly, you save a little time.
I think it goes a lot further than that for me. I mean, especially with like home improvements. I work with my parents. They're big into this, so they'll come over. I'm gonna wait for my dog to stop barking.
Dogs in the background. Oh, wow, I gotta not film from below. Makes my chin look so fat.
Yeah, always from above. Always from above. You don't want to. You don't want to under the level of your nostrils.
I put a picture like that on Hackaday once of me driving, but I shot it from like below the dash, and I spent like 10 minutes editing out nostril hairs.
All right. So now what I was saying is it goes a little bit further than just simple stuff. Because like with home improvements, my parents are big into home improvements. So whenever I'm doing anything at my house, I invite them over and they help. They're very skilled at it. But having having the use of my left hand for things like hammering in places where you wouldn't be able to. I can drive a nail with my left hand, not super well, but it's really very useful. And um, the coordination between the two hands is what I'm really focusing on now because that kind of changes the way you think. And I'm going to put a link to the article that started me doing this in our group chat here for anybody to take a look at. But what this article suggests is that they were analyzing Einstein's brain. And what they found was the corpus callosum was significantly larger in Einstein than it is in most people, even most young people, because the corpus callosum is the connective tissue between the two hemispheres of your brain. And over time, that shrinks. There are certain things, stimulant use will shrink it. It basically just ages. And his, even at death, was significantly larger than young people. So what they were proposing is that Einstein's coordination between the two sides of his hemisphere contributed to his ability to be what he was to us. So when I read that, I
Yeah, it sounds
started
like he was using a dual core processor while the rest of us are stuck with a single.
something like that. Yeah. So
To draw a computer analogy.
yeah, it's kind of similar. It's just the communication between the two sides of his brain was in this article and in the study that drove it on, or the paper that that published in Cell magazine, I think it was. They said that the enhanced communication between the two sides of his brain could be to blame for his intelligence. So when I read that, I was like, well, shoot, I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to be
Right? I would.
sure. So, so yeah, I started by moving my mouse to the left-hand side of my computer when I'm at work. I started eating with my left hand. I started doing, basic cares. Brushing your teeth is incredibly hard to do. Just
A couple weeks ago, you told me to brush my teeth with my left hand. And I tried it, and it was like brushing somebody else's mouth. It was so ridiculous. I felt like, it's something you don't even have to think about after you know, when you're more than like 10 years old. It's just something that automatically happens. Your hand moves by itself. So when you put it in your left hand, you're like, oh, this should be easy. It'll just be like doing a mirror image. And it's not. It is like trying to brush somebody else's teeth.
yeah, it's difficult. Even now, I do it. Just as practice, but I don't have any. I always feel like I have to do it again with my other hand.
I think
Another
I
thing
switched over halfway. I'm like, okay, that was weird. I got the idea. I'm done.
yeah, another thing that's surprisingly hard to do with your your other hand is to stir things. That's something that
Oh,
took me a while of practice because there's I guess it's a very precise motion that you're not used to doing. You're used to receiving the input of the resistance to the spoon in your cup, uh, and then using the flow that exists to keep it going or to stir it faster. And that's not an easy thing, actually.
no. Yeah, it is more coordinated than I think people some give. It is more coordinated than some people give it credit for. Have you ever heard? this trick where you spin your foot in one direction, like you circle in the air with your right foot, and then you start tracing that same circle with your right hand, and then you try and switch one of them from counterclockwise to clockwise, or vice versa, and you can't. You cannot make. I'm sure with practice, but it will throw you off every time you try it.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your tummy. You remember doing that as a
No,
kid? Oh, try
no, this is
patting your
totally
head. And,
different.
oh, it's totally different.
Oh yeah, that's no trouble. I mean, yeah, that you can just say, okay, left hand, start doing the swirling motion, and you don't have to think about it. You're patting your head, and you can say, okay, stop thinking about it, just do this. But if you're trying to do two different directions of stirring with the right side of your body or the left side of your body, it doesn't work. Try it.
I will. I will
Lift your right.
definitely do that.
No, do it right now. Pick your right foot off the ground. Start doing a clockwise circle. Do a clockwise circle with your right hand, like you're stirring a pot of gravy, and now try and make one of them counterclockwise.
One of the other
No,
ones?
no, no, no. Just do it with your right side. Just your
Doing
right
it.
foot and right hand.
Can't see my foot, but I'm doing it. Kind of.
Now reverse one.
All right. Well, does it work with two hands?
No, it's got to be just the right side of your body or just the left
Okay.
side.
Well, half of that's off camera, so it doesn't even, I can't. I can say I'm doing it, but you're never going to believe me.
Well, hopefully people will try this themselves. Hopefully not while driving, and you'll get the idea. It's like somebody just threw a big wrench in the works. You're like, oh, this is just spinning my hand and feet. It's so weird.
Well, anyway,
So this took a long time. Some of this will get edited out. Most of this will get edited out.
So my thinking with becoming ambidextrous was that if I can improve the communication, if being ambidextrous does directly cause or is caused by the size of the corpus callosum, which means enhanced communication between the two hemispheres of your brain, that by becoming ambidextrous or choosing to be ambidextrous, that I could increase my cognitive ability by increasing the size of the corpus callosum through practice with ambidexterity.
Yeah, it's like exercising. If you exercise the other side of your brain to do the things that you usually use the first side of your brain for, yeah, it makes sense. And a long time ago, before we even broached the idea of doing an ambidexterity show, I had mentioned to you, like, what about juggling? And you're like, oh yeah, I started that years ago.
Yeah, juggling is something I could have been able to do since I was young. So
That's awesome. I can't. I had a cousin who could jump on a pogo stick, tuck the pogo stick handles into his hips, and continue to juggle while jumping. It was nuts.
wow,
I think he
very
won a
nice.
talent show doing that. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Pretty proud of him.
So have you started to try to become ambidextrous?
Not a whole lot. I tried to learn to juggle just because it's kind of it's like a magic trick. It's kind of flashy at parties if you just pick up stuff. If you watch MythBusters, every so often Adam Savage will the camera will cut to him and he's juggling something, and it's just goofy. So other than that, no, I haven't really done much. The other day, I opened up an app store, and it had this whole section of ambidexterity apps, and it was like games for your offhand. And I was like, man, is even Apple monitoring our private conversations? Because that was never a show. But we're not the only ones thinking about this. This is kind of a thing.
Plus, they are monitoring your conversations.
Oh, obviously.
All of them. All of them.
How else would they know that I want Oreos delivered in 2 hours to my doorstep?
Yeah. Well, Oreos are important. Why not give up your privacy for Oreos?
Seems like a fair trade.
Absolutely. So what else do we got to say about this? I mean, I did post a study. Did you take a look at it?
No.
Okay. Well, the Kurzweil article is linked. You can take a look at that if you like.
I know the gist of that sort of thing.
Right.
But so you said that you switched over your mouse to the left side. You tried juggling. and I've done some of the same things. What else have you done to kind of build that bridge? What else have you done to build the corpus callosum?
Well, kind of a lot. It starts with small stuff, and then after a while, you get used to that. And then, for me, I mean, it applies to kind of everything. Because if I'm used to doing something with my right hand, I kind of recognize that, and I'm like, well, this time I'm going to do that with my left hand until I can do it as well as I do it with my right hand. And eventually, I forget how well I do it with my right hand, and I have to kind of switch back and forth to kind of compare, one day to another or whatever, to see what it is that's different between the two, and I try to bring them in line.
Nice.
But yeah, so I mean, really, it bleeds into everything. I try to eat with my left hand. Once I feel like I'm pretty good at that, I switch over to my right. I'm like, oh, well, I'm much better. This is what I'm doing differently with my right hand. So now I'm going to try to do that with my left hand too.
So if nothing else, you get a fresh perspective on the way you do things. I mean, I've always tied my shoes the same way since I was in kindergarten. Maybe if I concentrated on my left hand and just tried to tie the knot in reverse, I'd be like, oh wow, there's a way better way to do this. Or maybe a
Yeah.
shoe tying is not the greatest example because you use both hands. But
Yeah. And another thing,
if
it
I
gives
think if I tried to eat with my left hand, I would lose so much weight. Like I use chopsticks a lot because they're easy to clean. When you're in a hotel room, you need stuff that's easily cleanable. So I'd probably starve to death.
chopsticks were one of the things that were pretty easy to pick up, actually. Were pretty easy to pick
Really,
up with my left hand. Not that difficult. Just
that
kind of
surprises
surprised me.
me. Yeah, because I mean, my skill with a single pencil, just one stick, that's pretty bad, even with my dominant hand. And my left hand, it looks a little worse, and it takes 5 times longer to write.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm one thing I'm doing now that I can write and draw, and it's not pretty, but it's pretty fast and it's not too bad. I'm trying to draw a shape. I'm trying to draw a shape and then write the shape or use numbers to represent. So I'll draw a triangle and I'll write triangle, or I'll do the number 3 with my left hand. I try to switch that back and forth, and that is very, very difficult to do. Trying
That
to
sounds
draw a dog
intense.
with your left hand as you write the word dog with your right, and then trying to draw a cat with your right hand as you as you write the word cat with your right hand as you draw it with your left. It's not an easy thing to do. It
Yeah,
takes a
I heard
lot.
rumors that Da Vinci. I heard rumors that Da Vinci could write two different notes with his left and right hand simultaneously. Obviously, we can't study his brain the way we did with Einstein, but maybe that was just a rumor. I also heard he wore pink socks because he was kind of weird, and we'd probably now put him on the autism spectrum.
Hmm.
And they're totally unsubstantiated rumors, and obviously there's a lot around Da Vinci because he did so much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't even imagine trying to write 2 different things because that would involve 2 different thought processes, and we can't really do that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
we have a single core processor.
right. So, that's an interesting concept, and I wonder if I can ever get there. Because I mean, the people we're talking about were exceptional people. I mean, Einstein and Da
Right.
Vinci, I mean, how could I even ever expect to to get to that level of
Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Tim.
Yeah, that's probably never gonna happen.
I'm
Probably.
probably going to go down in history as the person most proficient typing with only his left hand. I don't want to go into why.
So,
That will
we
not be edited out.
so yeah, anyway, the whole point for me is to try to increase the communication between the 2 sides of my brain. You got your left brain, which is more your logical and, um, strategic thinking and stuff like that, and your right brain, which is attributed more towards creative thinking and unique,
I've heard that
unique
was all
solutions.
bogus.
I think I've heard that too.
It has nothing to do with hemispheres.
But in any case, by my whole point was to increase the communication so that I could be more intelligent. I don't know that that has actually happened. I'm much better at home improvement, so there is that, right?
Yeah, I haven't hit my hand on a nail, or I haven't hammered my thumb in a long time. Mm.
Good job. Good job.
Big big thumbs up.
So What else do we got to say about that? Have you read any studies or done anything with that? You got any more?
I've only heard anecdotes, and that's again why one of the reasons I started to juggle. One of the reasons I've used my mouse with my left hand. Now I use a gaming mouse with one of the 30 programmable buttons. So kind of hard to move that over to my left hand because everything's operated with the thumb.
Right. Right.
So yeah, official studies, no. It just kind of seems like one of those everyone accepts it already,
Really?
but I'm sure there are.
So people accept what would you say that people accept already?
That the link of being able to use the left and the right simultaneously is a good thing. That it generally contributes to a more intelligent. Well,
Really?
it generally contributes to a smarter person.
Okay. Then I'm
Maybe
just
that's
gonna
just
keep
me.
on
Maybe
doing it,
that's
right?
oh, don't stop. Do nothing to discourage you.
I like I like to work. That's for sure. So
We're in different ways. We're workaholics.
yeah. Boy, with this new job, Brian, I gotta tell you, man. and working with people in London, it's a I'm scheduling meetings at 4 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. my time. That's early. I mean, early even for
Oh,
me, and I'm an early riser.
oh, that's late for me.
4 a.m. You're still up at 4 a.m.
If somebody says, "Hey, you need to be up at 4 a.m.," I'm like, "Great." That means that I have to stay up until 4 a.m.
No, it's a lot. Anyway, nobody wants to hear about that. So I guess I count 17 minutes. I think it's fairly full, Brian.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good show. So let's open it up. Our YouTube listener, Leon Hart. Is that did I get that
Yes.
right? Or anybody else who hasn't said anything in the chat, you're certainly welcome now to give your opinion, give your questions, and we'll respond to them. Now, Tim, I noticed that our YouTube is several seconds behind us. If you look at it, you'll see what we did moments ago.
Yeah, I do
So
see that.
we'll give people a moment. I'm gonna get myself another drink. And if nobody says anything, we'll just cut out us asking for Q&A.
Oh, sure. Well, this was, I think I'm going to call this a successful test. I think next time we record, I'll post it to YouTube ahead of time. Not
Yeah,
YouTube,
definitely.
Twitter ahead of time.
Yeah, for sure. Generally, we should try and keep a reasonable schedule, or at least a pre-game and powwow or something, so that we generally want to start this at 1 p.m. Central, which is like 3 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I don't know. Tim, you and I are in two different time zones, separated by 2 hours. So I've had to start thinking in terms of Reno time, where I basically live, and Central time, where I have a girlfriend and a cat in an apartment.
Yeah, well,
So, yeah.
usually Sundays starting between noon and 1, I think is when we can expect we'll have this broadcast running. So every other Sunday, by the way, not every Sunday.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like a first and third Sunday of the month. It's just every other, because that's
Right.
how often we try to release.
Right. So I don't see any questions. We've been into that, so that's great. Thank you guys for there's 3 of you online. Thanks for listening and checking us out. I recommend you go to our website. It's twocyborgs.com. I think I put the link to that in the description to this broadcast. And we have all of our episodes talk about some really cool stuff. You should go listen. You should definitely subscribe. And Brian,
Yes, please do.
let's wrap it up then.
All right, so should we just read the colors that are us?
Yeah, on the second section. So
Yeah, you start.
No, you start.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our usual outro. Okay, so want me to read the blue?
No, you're leading the red. Well, there's two versions of it. The bottom version is the one we're using.
Oh, I was using the top version. I wonder. Okay. Thank you for listening. We'd like to invite our listeners to email us at Thank you for listening. We'd like to invite our listeners to email us at cyborgs@twocyborgs.com. You can also shoot either of us an email at tim@twocyborgs.com or brian@twocyborgs.com.
We also have a new website, and I'm in the process of updating it in the near future too. So go to twocyborgs.com. You can check out our store. We have our Cafe Press store where we have swanky hooded t-shirts, some mugs. I think we have baby onesies on there. Lots of stuff that have our logo. Gives you the opportunity to support our podcast, and you look awesome while you're doing it. This is Tim Shank, and I am drinking out of one of those cups right now.
And this is Brian McAvoy. You've been listening to Two Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by a couple cyborgs who have a microphone.
Like, follow, share, +1, and don't forget to I'm going to start that over.
Please do.
Like, follow, share, +1, and don't forget to subscribe on any of the popular podcast services, including Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher. Help us move up the podcast ladder by subscribing and commenting on iTunes. Comments in iTunes are very, very important to them.
And commenting and talking to us on YouTube is great for our egos, especially mine. So thank you.
And don't forget
you can
Twitter.
Also find us on Twitter at Two Cyborgs.
At Two Cyborgs. And yeah, really engage with us on Twitter, because I've been putting a lot of effort into our social networking. We're trying to build a big following. We want you to share and get us out there on Twitter. And we also have an Instagram account now with some pictures of stuff, robots and cyborgs and various technology stuff. And also on our Facebook. So connect with us on the social channels. We really appreciate it.
Oh yeah, the more people who view us and ask questions and stuff, it's just going to make our show. It's just going to make our shows more interesting and engaging. At least we hope so.
All right, Brian. I think that's a very successful test.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah, me too. Just a few people here, but I think once we post that to Twitter, if we do it, right then, I think we'll get a lot more actually.
I think people have definitely enjoyed seeing my unmade bed in the background.
I wasn't going to comment, Brian.
Yeah, I wasn't. I live out of a hotel. Somebody else usually makes my bed.
Yeah, I do a lot of web meeting, and the first thing I do in the morning when I get up is I turn on a camera and I look and see what that camera can see behind me, because you see the crib back there. That crib, there's baby stuff all over the place all the time. So I spend 5 minutes every morning. The first thing I do, because I never know when somebody's going to call me. I got bosses. One of those bosses is going to call me and be like, "Okay, I want you on the camera right now. Make sure that it's looking clear."
I do clean up for housekeeping, but they don't come in on the weekends. So sorry, guys. Housekeeping gets a better presentation than you.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording, Brian. Stop. And that's it. So yeah, I think that went really well. I think we should plan on doing this Hangouts on air every episode from here on out.
Definitely.
I don't see any reason not to. I mean, you're cool. I'm sort of cool. I don't like it.
You try hard, Tim. You try really hard.
I try so hard.
A+ for your effort. No. You're cool.
It's the first A+ cool. I've ever gotten. All right, so I'm going to hang up this Hangout. Thank you guys all. Check in with us in a couple of weeks. We'll be doing this again, probably with more people and even more polished than we were today, if you can imagine it. Wow. All right.